Power to the truth. This is Margo. This is Saturday, May the 4th, 2019, 6:26 p.m. Pacific Time, United States of America. I've had a rough couple of days. As you know, I haven't done a show the last couple of days, and I had internet problems. Somewhere the line was cut, and the technician had to put in a whole new line. It happened on Thursday afternoon while I was out, and the technician came yesterday afternoon. It took him a while, but he installed a whole new line, so I'm back up and running. But it was just a huge ordeal, and I was exposed to a lot of different environments and that I'm allergic to, and you can hear it in my voice. I'm still detoxing from everything I was exposed to, and I had to move furniture and clean and, to get ready for the technician and the whole thing. So I'm beat, I'm worn out, but I'm here. So I'm going to be clearing my throat. I'm going to be squeaky, but I've got climate news to go over with everyone tonight, and I want to thank each and every one of you for being here and helping us go down this rabbit hole of the end together. And the big thing that I'm looking at, before I get started, I'm working on a special presentation on nitrous oxide. I've had requests for it, and some other people have already done their presentations on it, but I've not done one. I did a show on February 19th looking at nitrogen dioxide, which is different than nitrous oxide, but I'm doing my research and getting everything together, and it's going to be a really interesting show. So that's coming up in the next few days, so be watching for that. So what we're looking at here is on CAMS, Copernicus Atmosphere Monitoring Services, and this is sulfur dioxide total column. This is from Thursday the 2nd, and I saw this before everything got cut off with my internet. I was going to be showing this in my show on Thursday, but look at this huge release here in Siberia and compare it. This is the eruption over here in Mexico from Popocatépetl and the other earthquakes that are constantly going off over there. So you compare this to what's going on over there, and this is like 50 times worse. And this was on Tuesday, and then not Tuesday, Thursday. I'm still a little brain dead. I'm so tired, and I'm beat up and worn out, but I'm gonna do the show. Here's from Friday, where there was more of a release, and it was spreading out because of the way the wind was blowing it, but a dense release that's now moving over the Arctic. And here it is from today, where it's still a dense release in total column, and it's split up and moving. That would be to the east, and then one's moving to the west. But what this means is, and I did a detailed report on this along with methane, and put it for my viewers on Subscribestar. And if you'd like to support my work and join the growing community that I have on Subscribestar for only $5 a month, you have access to all the posts over there, and I put up private videos almost every day over there, either with methane or sulfur dioxide or something, and I'm putting up spiritual posts and putting up news items and all kinds of things to keep people in the loop. And it's a supportive community for the people who want to join me over there. And $5 a month, I mean, you can't beat the price. You get an email right in your inbox every time I put up a post. You can private message me over there, and you can comment on the videos or on the posts. You can thumbs up, thumbs down, and I'm really liking it. I'm working out. We're getting the bugs worked out. I'm learning the limitations and learning to how to work around them and all that. So I've been on it a month now, and I'm liking it. I'm planning on staying over there. It's equivalent to Patreon, but I like it better. I haven't tried Patreon, but I've heard that they're censoring a lot of people for political reasons over there, and over on Subscribestar you're not censored, so that's why I went over there. So I've actually found the area, and this is such a huge deal. Now if we go to surface level, and nobody's talking about this. I mean, I got back from 2 days of being out of commission, and I messaged Nostradamus over on Dave Alcock on Facebook, and I said, I'm looking at sulfur dioxide and it's blowing up. Why is no one reporting on this? Do I have to do everything? Apparently I'm the instigator, and then everybody follows along after I do something. It's crazy. So if we go in on the Arctic view, everyone's familiar with this view. It's a little bit easier to see, but I mean, you can see it closer up on the Eurasia view, but you're pretty oriented on this Arctic view with Greenland, Novaya Zemlya. Here's the coastline all the way around Russia, and so this is surface level, and this is where it's coming up right here. So here it is, where you can see it coming up, and see here's where it's coming up from the surface over on Alaska, where we see a lot of earthquakes and volcanic activity over there. But if we run the movie, and for sulfur dioxide, that it's only good for the day of the data, really, because it fluctuates so much. Okay, so there it is at the end of Saturday today. But if we go back, so we saw where it was coming up. It's coming up every single day. It's continuously happening from that area. Now watch, it's the same place. Here it is from Thursday. It's exactly the same place with the release. Now I'll put my pointer there and just watch it as it's loading up. And it's periodic. I'm thinking it's such a huge release. It's more than just something man-made, and I think there's a hole ripped open there, and that's exactly where the methane is building and releasing as well. Okay, here's Friday. Here's the same place, exactly the same place. So if we load this up, and I put my pointer right there, now watch. See, it's releasing again, same thing. And but get this. This is what flips me out. And then I've got a couple of articles once I finish showing you this. But I was looking at this in detail today, and you can really see the release huge. Okay, so we're looking right here. And now if we change to, okay, so it's right here. So keep your eye right there. If we change to 500 HPA, watch. Look at that, where it blows up. So that, look at where my pointer is. And so that's halfway up in the atmosphere. That's about 18,000 feet up. So it's the initial release moved up, and it's spreading out that way and spreading out this way, having to do with the way the wind is blowing. That was from Thursday. Now, let's look at it from Friday. 500. And it's this dark stuff, and it's released in here, this dark stuff. I mean, that's the darkest it gets on the, it's darker than the chart. Seriously. I don't see a color on the chart. There's this black. Do you? I mean, it's even a color that's not on the stupid chart. And now it's spreading out over the Arctic. And so what the bottom line is as the sulfur dioxide keeps releasing and moving up through the layers of the atmosphere and spreading out over the whole Arctic region, as it rains and snows and the wind blows on the ice up here and everything, this is going to acidify the rain, and the snow, and when it comes down, it's going to melt that Arctic ice even faster. And just wait till I get into nitrous oxide, because that's a planet killer too. That's stripping the ozone layer. It's stripping the good ozone, and it's making bad ozone. Just wait. I mean, I've got all kinds of information on that. So we'll leave this with total column. So here's what it looks like today. And so I'm going to keep tracking this. And this is huge. And no one is reporting on it. And so I think that there is a fissure. Here's my theory. There's a fissure in the earth here where that release keeps happening. There is magma coming up to the surface, and magma and methane and sulfur dioxide are constantly being released from this huge fissure. It's a rip down into the crust of the earth, and it can't be fixed. And there's all kinds of stuff coming up, I'll bet you. And so that's my theory on that. And there's no way for us to really know unless the Russians report on it. And they're pretty secretive about stuff like this, and I don't think they're going to be reporting on a fissure opening up to hell. Seriously. And that's what I'm calling it, the gate to hell. So, and there was an article about this other area, calling it the gates to hell, where it was this big methane area, but it was over on this east side, and it wasn't releasing a bunch of sulfur dioxide. So it's not that. I looked it up. So now we're going to follow up on Tropical Cyclone Fani. This is from the Hindustan Times. This is from today, May the 4th. Apparently Fani is pretty much over. Fani leaves trail of devastation. India, Bangladesh count losses. Before I read the article, let's see what it looks like on NASA Worldview. Here's where it ended up today, and this is over in Bangladesh. It's covering up Bangladesh. But if we go back here it was from May 1st. On my last report was May the 1st, and it was going to be making landfall on the 2nd, and of course they would have this big black line right through the middle of it. But here it was on the 2nd making landfall, and here it was on the 3rd where it was just moving up the coastline and going pretty far inland. And here it is from today, where it's now over Bangladesh, but it's dissipating. So 8 people were killed in the storm on Friday, and the death toll increased to 16 on Saturday, and the authorities said the number could go up. It was awful devastation. Apparently one of the airports got all torn up too. This is on Saturday. Fani crossed over into West Bengal and moved northeast toward Bangladesh, weakening from a severe cyclonic storm to a cyclonic storm. At least a dozen people were confirmed killed in Bangladesh. Well, we need to pray for all those people. That's awful. A massive release and restoration effort went underway in Odisha on Saturday, a day after Cyclone Fani killed at least 16 people and left a trail of devastation in the coastal state, snapping power and electricity supplies and telecommunication links. I thought there'd be a lot more people dead, frankly, but they evacuated a lot of people. They saw it coming, and India got their people out of the way, so that was good. The authorities were trying to assess the extent of the damage done by the cyclone, which was accompanied by winds gusting up to 205 kilometers per hour. How much is that miles per hour? I don't know. I'm going to look it up. Convert. Oops. I'm so tired. I'm so brain dead. Just bear with me. I tell you, my brain got toxified. I can't think straight. So what was that? 205? 127 miles per hour. That's really high. Uprooted trees, toppled power pylons, and disrupted road, rail, and air traffic. Lack of access to remote areas and destruction of telecommunications was proving to be a hindrance in the rescue and relief effort. This is a rarest of rare summer cyclone, the first such to hit Odisha in 43 years. Thousands of emergency workers, people from civil society organizations, and personnel of national and local disaster response teams were engaged in relief operations. 8 people were killed in the storm on Friday, and the death toll increased to 16 on Saturday, and the number could go up. The number of fatalities was so low was seen as a testament to the disaster management skills developed over the years by Odisha, where in 1999 between 9,000 and 10,000 people perished in a supercyclone. So they evacuated 1.2 million people within 24 hours. Can you imagine doing that here in the United States? There's no way. There's no way. Within 24 hours from Kunjam, Puri, and other vulnerable areas, almost 7,000 kitchens catering to 9,000 shelters were made functional overnight. This mammoth exercise involved more than 45,000 volunteers. That's amazing. So, my voice is going to give out if I read all this. So anyway, I'll leave the link below. People can read it. So they made it through. I was looking at pictures on Twitter, and the airport, like the ceiling was all out of the airport, and different stuff. But there's just one picture. So there's that. So we're going to pray for all those people and their relief effort, and that they're safe, and that everything happens the way it's supposed to for them. Next, I'm going to go over Sam Carana's latest blog post. This is from May 1st. I was going to do this on Thursday. And it says, greenhouse gas levels keep accelerating. And he goes over the main greenhouse gases, does a little section for each one. So we're going to start with carbon dioxide. Weekly CO2 levels at Mauna Loa, Hawaii recently reached 4.1377 parts per million, while several times recently daily average levels exceeded 414 parts per million and hourly levels exceeded 415 parts per million. So there's his graph. And here's his other graph with that. Current CO2 levels far exceed levels that were common during the past 800,000 years. And so here we are off the chart. Here's the last 800,000 years, where it got up to about, the most it got up to was 300. But here we are now. Oh my God. We're off the chart. It's literally off the chart. Now he's going to talk about methane. Next to carbon dioxide, there are further greenhouse gases. Methane is important because of its high short-term potency as a greenhouse gas, and because methane levels in the atmosphere have hugely risen since 1750, and especially recently, as illustrated by the image on the right. And we've seen this before. He's got carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide levels in the atmosphere in 2017 were respectively 257% for carbon dioxide, 146% for methane, and 122% for nitrous oxide. There are 1750 levels. A recent study by Turetsky et al. Concludes that since sudden collapse releases more carbon per square meter because it disrupts stockpiles deep in frozen layers, and since abrupt thawing releases more methane than gradual thawing does, the impact of thawing permafrost on Earth's climate could be twice that expected from current models. Well, there you go. All of this will kill us really soon, seriously. There's no way out. Furthermore, there is a huge and growing danger of large abrupt methane releases from clathrates contained in sediments in the seafloor of the Arctic Ocean. As illustrated by the image below, methane levels are rising, and this rise is accelerating. Yes, it is. We're seeing that with Nostradamus's weekly reports. It is accelerating, and it's going up. The graph shows July 1983 through December 2018 monthly global methane means at sea level with added trend. Higher methane means can occur at higher altitude than at sea level. On September 3, 2018, daily methane means as high as 1,905 parts per billion were recorded at 307 millibars, an altitude at which some of the strongest growth in methane has occurred, as discussed in earlier posts such as this one. You click on that and you go to one of his earlier posts. And so here it is here, off the chart. Well, this is 2020. So we're right here, right now. Nitrous oxide. Next to carbon dioxide and methane, there are further greenhouse gases, of which nitrous oxide is particularly important. Nitrous oxide is up to 300 times as potent as a greenhouse gas as carbon dioxide and has a lifetime of 121 years. Several recent studies point at the danger of huge releases of nitrous oxide from permafrost. Well, I saw something from the EPA, where is it, that I think it was either nitrous oxide or nitrogen dioxide, the half-life of it is 100 to 150 years. So there you go. And it keeps recombining. It keeps breaking down and recombining with everything and making other stuff. According to a 2017 study by Voigt et al., Arctic permafrost contains vast amounts of nitrogen, more than 67 billion tons. Warming of the Arctic permafrost is accelerating, causing rapid thaw of permafrost soils, and this now threatens to cause huge releases of nitrous oxide to the atmosphere. The study concluded that nitrous oxide emissions in the Arctic is likely substantial and underestimated and show high potential to increase with permafrost thaw. But guess what else nitrous oxide is used in? Jet fuel. So you got all those planes flying around up there, and rocket fuel and everything. That's adding to it, and it's going through all the layers of the atmosphere. I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, whatever. And then Paul Beckwith did a couple of videos about it. And then the study by Wilkerson et al. Shows that nitrous oxide emissions from thawing Alaskan permafrost are about 12 times higher than previously assumed. A 2018 study by Yang et al. Points at the danger of large nitrous oxide releases from thawing permafrost in Tibet. Even more nitrous oxide could be released from Antarctica. The danger is illustrated by the image below, which shows that massive amounts of nitrous oxide were recorded over Antarctica on April 29th. And there it is. It's up in this fuchsia color, and that's up. The highest is 352 parts per billion. And this is at 487 millibars, so it's about halfway up in the atmosphere. Depletion of the ozone layer. In addition to being a potent greenhouse gas, nitrous oxide is also an ozone-depleting substance, or ODS. As the left panel of the image below shows, growth in the levels of chlorofluorocarbons, or CFCs, has slowed over the years, yet their impact will continue for a long time. Given their long atmospheric lifetime, 55 years for CFC-11 and 144 years for CFC-12. Well, and given the fact that China hasn't stopped using them, and they're making more. So Sam Carana needs to update his post. Since nitrous oxide levels continue to increase in the atmosphere while the impact of CFC-11 and CFC-12 is slowly decreasing over time, the impact as an ODS of nitrous oxide has relatively grown, as the right panel of the image below shows. So here's nitrous oxide going up. And I think Sam Carana needs to update his graph here, because these readings are from 1987 to 2008. So there you go. It's 11 years old. It's 2019. So no telling how much it's increased since then. So, you know, I respect his work, but I just think he needs to update some of these charts and stop using the same ones over and over and over. That's just my opinion, but who am I? Alright, so there's that. Climate Reanalyzer is back up for the most part. I'm not going to do this tonight. I'm just showing that Climate Reanalyzer is back up, but you can see the daily weather maps. You can see the 2-meter temperature anomaly. You can see all of these. All right, I'm not going to go through this right now because my voice is going to give out soon. But they're back. They don't have all of the older like the forecasting for the reanalyzation of all the years back and all of that back up. But they had an attack on their cloud server. They were down for a couple of days, but they're back. So there's that. So I'm going to close that and close that. And now we've got to look at some earthquakes. I've got to answer the phone. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. So we're looking at USGS here. In the last 24 hours, they've had 235 earthquakes worldwide. Oh, I forgot. We've got to do our Oroville Dam report. Here it is for the daily. It's been still going up. The inflow has gone way down. And the outflow is holding around 9,500 feet, cubic square feet per second. cubic feet per second. And but it's still going up. Let's see what it was. Let's see if the 7 o'clock reading is in yet. Probably not. No, it's not in yet. At 6 o'clock tonight, it was at 886.03 feet. And like I said, the inflow has gone down because they had cooler weather over there. I don't know what the snowpack is like over there. They're not using the spillway, the main spillway, and the emergency spillway is at tops out at 901 feet. So I don't know. I mean, I heard from Oroville Watch Group, that Oroville Dam Watch Group, that they're going to wait until it gets up to 894 feet before they start using the main spillway. And Blanco Lirio did a video and said, let's fill her up. That they're filling up the lake for the summer. That's what he was saying. But in the meantime, we're all sitting here about to have a nervous breakdown to see how fast it's going to fill up, how fast the snow's going to melt, if there's going to have rain, if some dam above stream is going to break or overflow or levee break, or God knows what, or there's an earthquake, or God knows what. A number of things could happen. Any number of things could happen. And there could be huge problems here. And then, getting this close to the top of that emergency spillway is I just don't think it's very wise. So yesterday, it went up 0.53 feet, so about half a foot. The day before, it went up 0.78 feet. And today, let's get our calculator here. Oh, I just did a Windows update and now it's screwed up everything. When you do those updates, it messes up everything. It's like, oh, this is so much better. Oh, yes. 886.03 minus 885.64. So far, it's gone up 0.39 feet today. So there's that. Okay, back to our earthquakes. We've got 236 of all magnitudes in the last 24 hours. And of those, 40 are 2.5 magnitude or higher. So we've had some large earthquakes, and you can see they're all around this ring of fire. Just look at this. Oh my God. And I want to show you something. I missed a couple of days of earthquakes, but if we go back for the last 7 days for 2.5 magnitude, on May the 2nd, there were 2 earthquakes in the Arctic. There was one right at the North Pole, right here. Here's Novaya Zemlya. It was just directly north of that. And it was 4.1 magnitude at 12:25 in the morning, Pacific time, because that's my time zone. It was right at the North Pole. And then there was one over here between Greenland and Svalbard of 4.2 just about an hour later at 1:27 in the morning, right on that red line. So that was on May 2nd. And so in the last 7 days, they've had 269 earthquakes that were 2.5 magnitude or higher. It's insane. It's insane. It's crazy. So, let me see what's about to come off the map. Well, I think I'll just start somewhere. I'm going to start down here in South America just for the last 24 hours, and we'll pop back and forth to this other one too. Okay, so we're going to start with this 4.3 at Putre, Chile, that happened at last night at 7:44 p.m. 120 kilometers deep, and then a 4.4 near Abra Pampa, Argentina, that happened this morning at 1:54 this morning, 256 kilometers deep, and a 4.1 near Coquimbo, Chile, at 12:51 this afternoon, 34 kilometers deep. Then here's one right on this red line, 5.0 near southern East Pacific Ridge. This one came in last night at 9:33 p.m. So as I go on each area, I think what I'm going to do is we'll show the latest. Well, we don't have to show every single one of them, but if there's a big one, we can show it. But there's been activity down here. See, there's been 2 others right here in this same place. There's a 5.1 on May the 2nd, and a 5.5 on May the 3rd at 5:07, and then a 5.0 on May the 3rd at 9:33. So there's that. Look at all of these down here in South America. There are 13 down here. They were fours and low fives, mainly 4s. So, and then look down here. This has happened. Oh, that was, I've already shown those. That was on the yeah, I've shown both of those. Down in the South Atlantic, and I showed these up here in the Mid-Atlantic, and then I showed these. These were on April 28th and 29th. I showed these 2. And I showed this one. Now this one kind of flipped me out. This 4.6, because it's not very far from where I had the vision of the methane coming up, something big black smoke coming up out of the Atlantic Ocean right here. It was right around here. It's where I saw it, and I saw a crack in the plate. And I also had a vision of an asteroid crashing right in there. So I'm watching this area real close. So let's come on around. Here's this one was on May 3rd, a 4.7 near Macquarie Island, west of Macquarie Island. This is just north of this. This is almost at the Antarctic. Here's the Ross Sea. That's the Ross Ice Shelf. And this is right there. This one happened last night at 11:01 yesterday morning. Then here's a 5.1 in the Kermadec Islands. They're calling it near Raoul Island, New Zealand, but it's Kermadec Islands in the ocean. This one happened on May the 2nd at 8:42 p.m. Then look at all of these. 8 right here in the Tonga area. And I'll just call off the ones since May 1st, because I would have gotten... Okay, if it was after 7 o'clock, it wouldn't have shown up. Here's a 4.3 in the Fiji region, and then a 4.9 in the Naifu, Tonga area. And then coming on around, here's the Vanuatu area. I've already reported on those. That was on the 28th. Okay, this one is one that's new. This 6.1 near Buala, Solomon Islands. This one came in yesterday at 12:25 in the morning in the ocean. When you see it blue, that's the one that's I'm looking at. And then a 4.7 near Inarotali, Indonesia at 10:41 in the morning on the 3rd. And then a 4.4 near Angaram, Papua New Guinea at 8:01 this morning, 107 kilometers deep. And a 4.6 near Satawal, Micronesia at 4:39 this afternoon. That was up here in the ocean. Oh my God, look at all of these. So I'll just start with the second. Here's 4.6 Amahusu on May 2nd. 4.6 near Caburan, Philippines on May 2nd. 4.7. Oh, I already showed that one. 5.1 near Sarangani, Philippines on May 3rd at 3:22 in the afternoon. And then a 4.7. So they had a cluster at 3:28 on the 3rd in the afternoon. And then a 4.6 at 3:46 in the afternoon, same place. And a 5.7 near Pimpi, Indonesia at 2:02 this afternoon, 339 kilometers deep. 4.6 Marihatog, Philippines at 3:32 this afternoon, and a 4.6 back over here at Sarangani at 4:51 this afternoon. Uh-oh, look at this cluster. Oh, I already reported on that. That was General Luna. That flipped me out. Here's a 5.7 San Augustine, Philippines on May the 3rd. I already showed those. Those were on April the 29th. Here's a 4.5 near Hingchun, Taiwan that came in today at 4:51 in the morning. Here's a 4.5 near Suao, Taiwan. It was just off the coast of Taiwan at on May the 2nd at 3:44 in the morning. Now let's get all these at Japan. Okay, here's a 4.1 near Hachijojima at 1:15 in the morning on May the 3rd, 388 kilometers deep. 4.7 Ishinomaki on May the 3rd again. 4.4 near Chitos, Japan on May the 4th, 5:34 in the morning. 5.1 Nimuro, Japan at 9:40 in the morning today. 4.6 Ofunato, Japan at 12:51 this afternoon, and a 4.5 near Shikotan, Russia today at 2:34 in the afternoon. So the orange ones are in the last 24 hours. So we're seeing a lot of activity up there. Okay, here's the Kamchatka Peninsula. Let's see what's recent up here. This one, this 4.2, just off the peninsula there, Petropavlovsk, Kamchatsky, Russia, at 2:58 this afternoon. Uh-oh, this one just came in. 5.0 Aris Asan, Philippines at 6:56 this afternoon. So, see, it's right where those others are. So we've covered all of that. Now let's move on over here. Okay, those were from April 30th. Here was one on May the 2nd at 4.7 near Linqian, China. And here's a 5.1 near Mon, India at 4:04 this morning, 100 kilometers deep. Here's this 4.2 on May the 2nd. Roshtkala, Tajikistan. And a 4.6 on May 3rd at Ibak, Afghanistan. Now coming on over to Greece, we've got 4 here on the map, but only one is recent. This 3.3 is from today near Latakia, Greece. This came in at 12:33 this morning. Now, we showed Okay, this one is from May the 2nd. This 5.0 near Tamarida, Yemen at 2:31 in the afternoon. And then 4.6 down here near the Carlsberg Ridge today at 12:58 this morning. And this 6.2 was from April 29th. I already showed that. I remember that one. Okay, here's one from yesterday. This 4.8 near Piemonte Mayotte at 12:18 in the morning. And I think, okay, that's all of the international earthquakes. Uh-oh. Look, this one just happened. 4.4 near San Antonio de los Cobras, Argentina at 6:41. Let's go up to Alaska. We've got, in the last 7 days, we've got 50 that are 2.5 magnitude or higher. I gotta remember to come back to Hawaii and Dominican Republic if I'm gonna start on Alaska. Get out of my routine here. We've got 91 here in the last 24 hours. It looks like they're mostly small. Let's start here. 3.0 Semisilpoknoi Island at 11:04 this morning. 4.2 Yanalaska Island at 7:56 last night. 2.0 Skagway, 2.9 Cape Yakataga. Okay, coming on in. Here's the Cook Inlet, Redoubt volcanoes right over here. Here's Anchorage. We're not seeing huge earthquakes here, but we're seeing they're consistent. They're mainly ones, so the magnitude has gone way down, but the movement is spreading out. You can definitely see it moving up. See, there's Fairbanks and it's moving up and around. Here's Kobuk, and see, these aren't, we've got more all around it, so it's definitely spreading out. Here's a 2.1. Here's a 1.6 near Nome. At Kobuk, we've got 21 here today. So these are ones and under, or in the ones range. Here's Koptovik. It's got a 2.1 and a 2.4 today. So let's just take a peek and make sure there wasn't anything huge up here. I'm not seeing any huge ones. So that was a 4.1 on May 1st. I reported on that. But you can see the pattern. They just keep happening in the same places over and over. Now I'm going to go to Hawaii. In the last 24 hours, we had 5 here. 1.9, 1.7, 2.4, 2.9, and a 2.2. And some of these are at negative depth, meaning that it's up in the volcano. The magma's up in there and it's moving around, causing an earthquake. So let's look over here to 2.5 magnitude and higher for 7 days. We got 9 here. So, starting on May 2nd, there was a 2.6 at Pahala, a 3.3 at Fern Acres, 2.9 Leilani Estates, and a 2.9 in the ocean there near Kahaluu Kiauhau. That's my pronunciation. So, there's those. Now, we're going to go over to Dominican Republic. And in the last 24 hours, we've got 11 here. We've got a 3.1 in the ocean there, 2.1, 2.5, 2.9, 3.2, 2.8, 2.8, 2.3, 2.4, 2.9, 2.5. That's in the last 24 hours. In the last 7 days, 2.5 magnitude and higher is 34. So, let's just look back from the 2nd, starting on May the 2nd. They had some stuff going on. There was a 4.4 on May the 2nd, down here south of Dominican Republic. And then a 3.0, this is all May 2nd, 2.9. And now moving into May 3rd was a 3.3 and a 3.4 and a 2.8, 2.7, 3.1, 2.5, 2.9, 3.2, 2.8. That was all on May 3rd. And now on May 4th, 2.8, 2.9, and 2.5. So they had quite a few larger ones in the last couple of days since my last report, especially this 4.4. We haven't seen one that large down here in a while. Let's check here. Okay, on May 2nd was a 4.2 near Puerto San Jose, Guatemala. On May 3rd was a 4.3 is Tapa, Guatemala. And on May 3rd was a 4.7 Puerto El Triunfo, El Salvador. I showed that one. Alright. Now let's go into the lower 48 United States and we'll finish this up. In the last 24 hours, we've got a 2.0 here in the New Madrid hazard zone near Portageville, Missouri at 12:38 this morning. A 2.8 near Mentone, Texas, 10:23 this morning. Now let's look at those areas now. Here's a 2.9 at Meade, Kansas on May the 3rd. That happened while I was out. And then here was a 3.0 at Pecos, Texas on May the 3rd. Now, let's come on up here to, you know what? I want to change to all magnitudes. It says, oh, can your system handle this? That's what it says. I'm like, well, let's just go for it. Here were two that came off the map before I reported on them. Right here in this St. Lawrence Seaway up here in Canada, a 1.3, they're calling it nearby St. Paul, Canada, at 1:33 in the morning on April 28th, and then a 2.0 right next to it on May the 1st at 10:04 in the morning. And those were on the map briefly, and then they went away, and I was not able to report on them. Okay, here was a 1.9 or 2.0 near Maryville, Tennessee on May the 3rd at 1:30 in the morning. Here was a 1.2 at Ridgely, Tennessee on May the 2nd, right next to this one that happened that I just reported on. Uh-oh. Oh, I showed that. That was April 29th. That line between Arkansas and Missouri. Kissy Mills. Kissy. On April 29th. Here's a 2.9 at Meade, Kansas on May the 3rd. Here was a 2.2 Blackwell, Oklahoma on May the 2nd. We saw that one at Ridgely. Okay, now moving on across. We saw the one at Mentone. Alright, we've got Utah and Arizona here, so I'm going to start at the top on the map. This is from May 3rd, 1.8 East Carbon City, Utah at a minus 3.4 kilometer depth, 2.7 Evanston, Wyoming, 2.9 Meade, Kansas, 1.5 Farron, Utah. These are all May 3rd. Now on May 2nd was a 1.9 East Carbon City, Utah at a minus 1.6 kilometer depth. Here was a 1.0 magnitude quarry blast on May 2nd at Milford, and a 0.3 at Milford, still May 2nd, a 1.6 Fredonia, Arizona, and a 2.2 East Carbon City, Utah on May 1st at 8:07 p.m. And the others got reported. Yep. Now we're going to move on up into the Yellowstone region. Okay. We've got 63 on the map here in the last 7 days. So I'm just going to go backwards. So the most recent ones will come up first. 1.2 Manhattan, Montana, today at 8:04 in the morning. 1.6 Manhattan, Montana, today at 7:49 a.m. 1.4 Manhattan, Montana, 7:30 this morning. 1.4 Helena Valley, Northwest Montana, 6:42 this morning. Man, they've had some activity today. 1.0 Lima, Montana, at 2:55 this morning. And then from the 3rd, a minus 0.2 at Paulson, Montana, at 10 o'clock last night. And then a 0.5 near West Yellowstone, Montana, at 5:02 yesterday p.m. 1.1 Lincoln, Montana, on the 3rd. 1.4 magnitude quarry blast, Butte, Montana, 12:02 p.m. yesterday. They were right on schedule. 1.8 Chalice, Idaho, on May 3rd at 7:32 in the morning. 0.1 Old Faithful Geyser, May 3rd. 1.5 Old Faithful Geyser. Here's a 1.2. Now we're on May 2nd, which was the day I didn't get to report on. Lincoln, Montana. 1.3 Helena Valley. 1.7 Manhattan, Montana. 1.6 Ronan, Montana. 1.7 Quarry Blast, Montana City, May 2nd. Oh, that's real good. You know, right next to all the things happening, it's just real good to be blasting. 1.6 Frenchtown, Montana. 1.1 Old Faithful. 1.1 Old Faithful. Now we're back to the 1st. I've reported on those. So a lot of activity there. So now let's look at the Pacific Northwest. I'm going to try and get Oregon and Washington on the map here. We're showing 41 here in the last 7 days. Now, let's look at the real-time tremor map. In the last 3 hours, we've had 2 hours of tremors. It's rocking. It's rocking. If you've got 2 out of 3 hours of tremors, you've got movement. It's primarily up here near Vancouver, a little bit near Portland, but it's on this Vancouver island here. In the last 12 hours, we've got 5 hours. That's almost half the time. Look, it's moving up here, further up on the island. In the last 24 hours, we've got 15.1 hours of tremors. Oh my gosh. Something's about to break. Seriously. I'm so glad my internet is back up. I'm back online. Something is about to happen. It's going to be big. I just feel it. In the last 48 hours, we've got 25, what is that? 26.2 hours of tremors. Over half the time it's shaking. And it's primarily on the middle part of Vancouver Island, and then this end down here, and here by Portland, to the west of Portland, and then here northwest of Medford, and then a little bit down here by Reading. So there you go. So let's see what's going on. Here's something freaky. With all those tremors, look at this. With all those tremors, not one earthquake being reported in the last 24 hours. I just don't think that's right. I think there should be earthquakes here. There's nothing being reported with all those tremors. Are you kidding me? That's insane. There should be earthquakes. So there's so much movement happening. I think something's building. I just have a feeling. So I'm going to go backwards. Point 2, Lapine, Oregon. 1.5 magnitude explosion on May 2nd. That point 2 at Oregon was on May 3rd. So May 2nd was a 1.5 magnitude explosion near Molalla, Oregon at 3:02 in the afternoon. And then there was another explosion, a 1.4 magnitude near Granite Falls, Washington at 2:29 in the afternoon on May 2nd. Still on May 2nd, 0.6, Royal City, Washington. Here's another explosion, a 1.5 magnitude near Medford, Oregon on May 2nd at 2:11 in the afternoon. Here's a 1.2 earthquake, Navy City Yard, Washington. 1.8, Forks, Washington. That was on the coast. Here's a 0.6, Bremerton, Washington. It's in the Seattle area. 2.0, Orleans Point, Kitsap Lake, Washington, Seattle area. A lot of activity. Look at all this stuff I missed on May 2nd. Look at all this. I would have reported on all of this. They had a cluster. 1.2 Shelton, Washington. 1.6 Beaverton, Oregon. This is all on May 2nd. 0.8 Antioch, Washington. And here's an explosion on May 1st. Colville, Washington. 1.4 magnitude. So it was mainly this that happened. May 2nd. Look at all of that. So but nothing showing up today. I wish USGS had like a 48-hour thing. But you got 24 hours. You can look 24 hours, or you can do 7 days. You can't do 48. You can do 48 hours on EMSC, but not on USGS. I like the way I can maneuver USGS better than EMSC. Here's a 1.8 near Crescent City. It's in the ocean. This was on May 1st, 2:52 in the morning. That's in case I missed it. Okay, let's start moving into California. Okay, I reported on those already. I reported on all of those. Here's one new. 3.0 near Hayfork at 4:24 this morning. That was April 28th, April 28th, April 29th. But it's good to see where how everything just piles up. You don't realize how much it piles up in a week. Here's a 1.4 near Covelo, California on May 3rd. I reported on these. Here's a new one, a 1.8 off the coast of Petrolia on May 2nd. And that one was on the 28th. Here's a 2. Okay, I showed that. Now, here's this new area, Redwood Valley. In the last 7 days, they've had 18 here. I'm going to start with May 3rd. Here's a 1.0, 1.7, 2.1, and 1.9. But 18 in the last 7 days, all right there. Here's the geysers. Look at that. 309 in the last 7 days at the geysers, including this 3.2 near Calistoga on May 1st. That's a 1.8. So, look at this. $307 in the last 7 days. That's insane. What does that average out to? That's an insane number. 307 divided by 7, 43 a day. That averages out to 43 a day. Well, we did have a couple of days where they were like 80, 60, and 80. Here's a 1.9 Redwood Valley at 7:09 this morning. So here's the geysers, 27 from today. They're small, but they add up. The biggest one's a 2.0 there today. Let's come on down the San Andreas fault line. Here's two, a 1.3 and a 1.6 Alum Rock. It's usually quieter on the weekend. 1.7 Pacific Grove. Here's a 1.9 Pinnacles. 1.4 Templeton. Here's Southern California. We got 32 on the map today. 2.0 Colton. 1.9. Here's 1.2 Boron. 0.5 Inyokern. And see, it's all quiet here today coming up through Mammoth. 0.6 Bridgeport. Let's come on over and cover Nevada. 1.3 Cold Springs. And we've got a cluster here at Virginia City. We've got 7 here in the last 24 hours. They're small. And Virginia City is up in the mountains. and they do a lot of mining up there, silver mining primarily. 1.3 Lovelock, right at the surface. 1.6 Fallon, but I tell you, this Fallon is up here. This is closer to Walker Lake. I was looking at this before my computer went down, or the internet went down. I was looking at this because we've had some clusters there. Let's look at that. See? Right here. In the last 7 days there have been 21 right down here. And I'm thinking there's some mining going on. There's been a whole bunch on May the 2nd. .7, that was on May 1st. So these are smaller, so these are ones and so forth. And then remember we had this cluster up here at Austin, like 41, 45 in the Austin area. That 4.1 was the biggest one on April 28th. So it's calming down. We're seeing that one at Lovelock. So it looks like nothing at Austin today. Here's 1.3 Hawthorne. Here's Goldfield 0.4. But now look, it's picking up down here in southern Nevada. Look at all these near Alamo. No, they're not Alamo. Where are these? Alamo, yeah. We got 14 on the map here. They're small. The 2.0 was the largest. So that's unusual for a weekend. Usually it's quieter on the weekend. So something's up. This something is up. I just know it. I just feel it. I'm not going to go over every single one of these little earthquakes, but I just want you to see these patterns. See, here's Mammoth. And I just want to see if I missed any big ones. Oh yeah, I showed these. Oh, there was another one on May 2nd. Down here on Baja, 2.2. Near Oviedo. Alberto Oviedo Mota. So I think that's a wrap. I think we're caught up. Now I'm going to back out. And switch back to one day. So this is a new one. This one just came in. Did I show this one? This one came in earlier. This Serengani 4.6. This is a 5.0 near Eris Asan. If I already announced this, I apologize. This one came in at 6:56 this evening, right next to this other one. This one happened this afternoon at 3:32. So this was right on the red line. The Philippines. So now we're caught up. So I think that's a wrap. Yep, I think that's a wrap. So the show went a little longer tonight because we had to get caught up on everything. So, God bless everyone. Oh, let's see if Oroville's 7 o'clock numbers have come in. Yep. 886.05. So we can see the inflow has gone way down. The highest it was today was a little over 15,000 inflow. Right, and for the 7 o'clock reading, the inflow was 12,488. So I don't know if it's, I don't know if all that snow was melted or not. I sincerely doubt it, because looking at Mount Rose, it's snow-packed still over here. So I can't imagine that all the snow was melted. I just think that once we hit some pretty decent warm weather, that snow will be coming on up. It'll be melting. So I'm going to sign off for now, and we are in the end times, and I do believe that time is very short, and I'm advising everyone to get your spiritual houses in order. So until next time, God bless you, go in peace, and I'll talk to everyone soon. Good night.